Arminia Bielefeld will play in a DFB Pokal semi-final against Leverkusen. That's right, they're against last season's Bundesliga champions and the DFB Pokal winners. Bielefeld have made it to a semi-final of a DFB Pokal 3 times before, but how did they get on? They currently play 2 leagues below Leverkusen in the 3rd Liga. We ask the honest questions. What is the furthest that Bielefeld have ever been in the DFB Pokal? And what chance have they got of making it to the final? It's feasible that not many of you are aware of Arminia Bielefeld, and that's more than acceptable. No, they're not from Armenia. It's actually pronounced Arminia. To be fair, that does sound like a country, doesn't it? Anyway, let's do a quick sit rep, as Pieface would say, on Arminia Bielefeld. Bielefeld, well, they hail from the North Rhine-Westphalia district. That's 116 kilometres north east of Dortmund, 112 kilometres south west of Hanover, and 54 kilometres to the north of Paderborn. The name is cool as fuck, right? It derives from a Roman chief, Arminius, who led his army into battle into the nearby Teutoburg forest. That might need an overlay. The population of Bielefeld, well, that's approximately 330,000, which is more than Bonn and a few thousand less than Bochum. It's home to the iconic Sparrenburg Castle, one of the oldest universities in Germany, established in 1969. It's the birthplace of the guitarist Philipp Reismeier of symphonic metal band Xandria. It's not my kind of sound. And it's home to the food magnate Dr. Oetker. His pizzas, with their thin and crispy base, well, they're pretty tasty. Their nickname is the Blues, or Die Blauen, as it is in German. I believe that's how you pronounce it. They play at the Alm, home since 1926, built on some land that was leased from a local farmer. It has a maximum capacity, does the Alm, of 27,332. It's very precise, Gonzo. This season, in Liga 3, they're averaging 20,507, which is absolutely incredible. Now, it's hard to make that comparison with any League 1 team in the UK. Although somewhat fittingly, the Blues of Birmingham City, well, they're pulling an average of 26,712. They're in League 1. It feels they're an outsider because they shouldn't really be in that division. They shouldn't have gone down. Maybe we'll get into that in another video. The other team in League 1 that are pulling in some good numbers, well, that's Bolton. They're pulling in an average of 21,427. Oh, and let's not forget Huddersfield. The Terriers, well, theirs is 18,757. This year, in 2025, is the 120th anniversary of the Blues. That's Bielefeld, not Birmingham. And it's kind of appropriate because the actual birthday is in May and the DFB Pokal final, well, that would be in May. And what a great way that would be to celebrate that anniversary. They just have to overcome Leverkusen first. As we've called out on this channel before, the German Football Association, well, that wasn't established until 1900. And during those early days, the infrastructure of German football, well, it was highly complex and it was structured by regions. So, to keep things nice and simple, for people like Gonzo and I, let's run with it like this. Bielefeld, well, they won 2 regional championships back-to-back in 1922 and 1923. That's the West German Championship. It was pre-Bundesliga, because that didn't come in until 1963. That said, it's still a regional title. They won it back-to-back. That's worthy of us clapping that one in. They were also the first German football club ever to be broadcast live on radio. That happened in November 1925. Bielefeld have won the Bundesliga 2 or the Dritte Bundesliga on 4 different occasions. And they share the record for number of promotions to the actual Bundesliga with Nuremberg. Those 2 yo-yo teams have been up 8 times. Not always together, but they've been up 8 times nonetheless. Bielefeld have 19 seasons worth of experience in the Bundesliga. 2 5-season stints. Well, that's the longest streaks they've ever had. But still, it's impressive. Their last appearance in the Bundesliga was in the 21/22 season, a season in which they finished in 17th with 28 points and were sadly relegated. Greuther Fürth. Well, they went down with them. They managed only 18 points and a eye-watering -54 goal difference. Ouch. Bielefeld, well, they were found guilty of match fixing in the 1971/72 season, and a rather disappointed DFB stripped them of all their points, which triggered an automatic relegation. My English viewers, as well as, well, everyone that's out there, well, they might remember a certain Stefan Kuntz. Promise I'm not swearing, Gonzo. That's his actual surname. Stefan Kuntz. Yeah, well, he scored the equaliser against England at Euro 96. That was in the semi-finals at the OG Wembley. You know the game, right? It's the one where Gaza went really close and the future England manager, Gareth Southgate, well, he smashed his penalty over the bar in a fitting tribute to Chris Waddle. On a side note, Kuntz holds the record for being the most capped German player to have never lost a game. That's winning 20 with 4 draws and that penalty shootout. If you wanted me to spoil it for you 30 odd years on, yeah, that Southgate penalty miss really cost us. Following promotion to the Bundesliga in the 1996/97 season, Bielefeld, well, they needed to increase their attacking muscle, and they figured that Stefan Kuntz, age 34 at the time, he would be an ideal candidate to lead that line. That was most likely off the back of Germany's win in the eventual Euro 96 final. Well, they won that game 2-1, and it's the first ever international trophy to have been settled off the back of a golden goal. Points out there for anyone that can remember that winning goal and the goal scorer? I'll spoil it for you. It was Oliver Bierhoff. He was playing at Italy at the time, I believe, for Udinese. Back to Stefan Kuntz. Well, he went on to play 69 times across 2 seasons for the Blues, scoring 26 goals. That included a hat-trick in a 5-3 kick-in of FC Köln. That's before he moved on to Bochum, with whom he retired in 1999. Not an ice cream 99. He retired in 1999, aged 39. Wow, he just enjoyed playing, didn't he? Old Stefan Kuntz. Told you I wasn't swearing. Bielefeld are the first club to introduce Iranian players into the Bundesliga. In 1997, they signed both Karim Bagheri and a certain Ali Daei. Well, Ali Daei, he played 25 matches for Bielefeld, scoring 7 goals. He went on to upgrade by moving on to Bayern Munich, for whom he played 23 times, scoring 6 goals. He actually held the record at one point in his career for the most international goals ever scored by a single player. That was 109. Sadly, that record was broken by a certain Cristiano Ronaldo in 2021. Patrick Aubameyang, yeah. He played 63 times for Bundesliga, scoring 8 goals. Pretty impressive from right back. He also played 11 times for Germany, 6 of those whilst he was playing for Bielefeld, which remains a club record to this day and will likely stand for a long, long time to come. Another famous player of Bielefeld is Peter Gabriel. No, not the musician. No, and let's not play Tubular Bells because I might get done for copyright. No, it's the defender, Peter Gabriel. That's right. The Czechia centre-back. Well, he played 102 times for Bielefeld and scored 3 goals. Rudiger Kauf, well, he holds the record for the most appearances for Bielefeld. That's 170. And Artur Wijnarek, the Polish guy. Well, he's guy? Yeah. Artur Wijnarek. Well, he's the leading goal scorer for the club on 45 goals. Feels like that record could well be broken, actually. Bielefeld, well, they currently play in the third Liga. That's the third professional division of German football. After 30 matches, they're currently ranked in 4th place with 50 points. That's below Saarbrücken, Dresden, and the leaders, Cottbus. They've won 3 out of the last 5 games, scoring 11 times. And they've scored 46 goals and conceded 32, which is the second tightest or meanest defence in the third Liga. The top scorer for the Blues this season is striker Julian Canier. He's got 11 goals, plus 1 important goal in the DFB Pokal. Midfielders Stefano Russo and Isaiah Young, along with defender Louis Oppi, well, they've all got 3 assists this season. And midfielder Marius Wall, well, he's got 3 assists and 2 goals, all coming in the DFB Pokal. And the sheer fact that a team from the third Liga is in a DFB Pokal semi-final just makes this occasion even more remarkable. Should Bielefeld progress to the final, then they would be part of an elite list of outsiders that have come from either the third Liga or lower to make it into the final. In 2001, Regionalia West side, which is effectively the 4th tier, FC Magdeburg, well, they made it all the way to the quarter-finals. In that run, they beat a Liga 3 side, Karlsruhe, and 2 Bundesliga sides, that was in FC Köln and Bayern Munich. And Bayern Munich at the time, well, they were DFB Pokal holders. The fairy tale for Magdeburg, well, that unfortunately was ended by Schalke, who were the eventual winners, by the way. They went on to beat Union Berlin 2-0 in the final. And Union Berlin, by the way, well, they were a Liga 3 side as well at that point in their history. In 1998, a Regionalia West side, Eintracht Trier, well, they lived out their own fantasy by going all the way to a semi-final. They knocked out UEFA Cup winning side Schalke in round 2 and the Champions League winners Dortmund in round 3. They went on to take a very confused Duisburg all the way to a tense penalty shootout in the semi-final. Sadly, they went on to lose, but they lost gracefully on penalties, 9-10. Wow. And in 1993, the Hertha Berlin reserve team, Hertha Berlin 2, however you want to look at it as, they were playing in the third Liga at the time. Well, they reached the final. And they were only beaten 1-0, and that was by Leverkusen. Wow. It's the one and only time in DFB Pokal history that a reserve team has made it all the way to a final. It won't happen again, though, because the DFB have made it that way, that no reserve team is ever allowed to enter the DFB Pokal. It's most likely to save the blushes of the parent clubs. Bielefeld have appeared in a DFB Pokal semi-final 3 times before this one, so it feels like they won't be overwhelmed by stage fright. Their most recent appearance was in the 2014/15 season when they were hammered 4-0 by the eventual winners Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg, well, they beat Jurgen Klopp's Dortmund 3-1 in the final. That was after going 1-0 down to an Uber, a Patrick-Emerick Aubameyang, one of our favourites. He scored very early on in the 5th minute. Kevin De Bruyne, he scored one of the Wolfsburg goals. And the world's best player, Nicholas Bentner, well, he was an unused sub for Wolfsburg in that final. Bielefeld have made it to back-to-back semi-finals before. They both came in the 04-05 and the 05-06 season. Both were tight games, with the Blues losing just 1-0 in both of those games, and that was to Munich and Frankfurt respectively. Bielefeld's progress to the semi-final has seen them beat 3, count them, 3 sides on the Bundesliga, along with a Bundesliga 2 or Dritte Bundesliga side. Let's just do a quick recap on their route to the semi-final. In round 1, Bielefeld managed a 2-0 win over Hanover. 2 goals inside 10 minutes proved enough for Bielefeld. Defender Louis Oppi scored on the 23rd minute, and that was after an Andre Becker strike from the striker had put Bielefeld ahead on the 13th minute. In round 2, it was Bundesliga side Union Berlin that were put to the sword. 2 goals in each half proved enough for Bielefeld on that occasion. Midfielder Marius Wörl scored on the 11th minute, and the striker Becker, well, he scored again. 2 in 2 cup games for him. He won it on the 71st minute. In round 3, it was another Bundesliga side, this time Freiburg, who fell victim to the giant killing. Defender Christopher Lannert, well, he put Bielefeld ahead on the 28th minute. That lead was doubled by a penalty from striker Kania on the 36th minute. Michael Gregoritsch, we like him, he pulled a goal back for Freiburg to make it 2-1, and yet it was defender Oppi who scored on 81 minutes to seal a 3-1 win for Bielefeld. That will have upset Julian Schuster, manager of Freiburg, a little. However, they are flying high in the Bundesliga and on course for a European place. As for Bielefeld, well, they progressed to a quarter-final. Not content with beating Union Berlin and Freiburg, Bielefeld added Werder Bremen as their 3rd Bundesliga scalp in this DFB Pokal run. And that must have capped off a pretty shit week for Real Nico, because his Bremen team was smashed 5-0 by Freiburg in the Bundesliga only a few days prior. Marius Wörl put Bielefeld ahead in the quarter-final on 32 minutes. An own goal by Brennan's Julian Malatini on 41 minutes compounded the joy for Bielefeld, who went 2-0 up. The sharply dressed Scot, Ollie Burke, well, he pulled a goal back for Brennan on 56 minutes to make it 2-1. And that's how it finished. Yeah, no more gas in the tank. Bielefeld held strong, and they ended up winning that game 2-1, which then tees up a semi-final with Leverkusen on April 1st. It's not on April 1st. They are actually playing Leverkusen in a semi-final on April 1st. Sorry, Real Nico. As for Bielefeld's opponents in the upcoming semi-final, well, that's Leverkusen. Leverkusen, well, they are the current DFB Pokal holders. That's after beating Kaiserslautern 1-0 last season, which was part of their double-winning domestic season and a double-winning unbeaten domestic season. Leverkusen have won the DFB Pokal twice before and have been runners-up 3 times. They won it in 1993. That was a narrow 1-0 win. If you remember, it was against Hertha Berlin's reserves, which, when you say it like that, kind of sucks all the glory out of it, doesn't it? And last season, as we mentioned, they beat Kaiserslautern 1-0 in the final. Let's have a look at Leverkusen's route to this season's semi-final. In round 1, Leverkusen scraped a 1-0 win over Jena. That's a Carl Zeiss Jena team formed by fracture workers of the optical magnet back in 1903. Any of my viewers wear glasses, then it's more than likely the frames and the lenses, well, they come from this factory, and it is plausible that they might well have been made by some of the footballers that have played for this team over the years. Jena, by the way, are a team that compete in the 4th tier of German football. That's the Regionalliga Nordost. We'll get into that another time. Jonas Hoffmann, well, he spared the blushes of Leverkusen by scoring on the 52nd minute. That veteran midfielder, by the way, Hoffmann, well, he was one of Xabi Alonso's key signings last season in a season that turned out to be a domestic double-winning affair. In round 2, Leverkusen swept past Elversberg, or they're currently playing in the Dritte Liga, or the Bundesliga 2. Goals from Alex Garcia, the Spaniard, and 2 goals from big Czechia striker Patrick Schick, quite early on. That sealed the deal for Leverkusen. In round 3, the 2 bitter rivals of the last few seasons, Munich and Leverkusen, well, they went head to head, and Xabi Alonso had the wood over Vincent Kompany and the Munich team yet again. This time, Leverkusen ended up winning 1-0. I should add, though, that Manny Neuer, Munich keeper, well, he was sent off on 17 minutes. Leroy Sané had to be sacrificed for the substitute keeper, Daniel Peretz. Nathan Teller scored on the 69th minute, and Leverkusen won 1-0 and progressed to the quarter-finals. It's alright, though, because Munich do eventually go on to knock Leverkusen out of the Champions League. Bigger fish, right? Bigger fish. And in the quarter-finals, it's Bundesliga 2-side FC Köln that took Leverkusen all the way in to extra time. This was in a game, by the way, where FC Köln threw away a 2-0 lead. Goals come in for Köln by Linton Miner and Damien Downs. They're great names, aren't they? Patrick Schick, well, he pulled one back for Leverkusen on the 68th minute. Leverkusen lived for drama, well, certainly last season, and in this cup run, they equalised on the 96th minute. It was that man, Patrick Schick, again. And not long into the first half of extra time, Victor Boniface won the game 3-2 for Bayer Leverkusen. So what chance do Bielefeld have of progressing to a DFB Pokal final? Well, as we've learned from going through the archives, there have been giant killings in the past, and this Bielefeld side, well, they've made it to the semi-finals 3 times before, sadly running out of juice in order to get to the finals in Berlin. Now, Bielefeld have scored 11 times in the last 5 games. Okay, that was against defences that are considerably less organised than what they'll be coming up against in Leverkusen. Leverkusen, by the way, are a side that have only conceded 34 goals this season at a much higher standard in the Bundesliga. Funnily enough, that's the same number of goals that Bielefeld have shipped in the 3rd Liga. Leverkusen have scored 62 times this season. That's right, 62 times. And that's a top-flight team scoring against top-flight teams, the likes of which include Dortmund, Frankfurt, Munich and Stuttgart. It instinctively feels like it's going to be the end of the DFB Pokal road for Bielefeld. And I'm deeply sorry to all you Die Blauens Blues fans out there. Leverkusen are a team, by the way, that since shredding that moniker of Neverkusen, well, they've got no intentions of slipping up again. and they are the DFB Pokal holders after all. A semi-final, along with a return to Bundesliga 2, well, surely that would please Bielefeld fans, right? And that would be enough when you recap at the end of the season? Surely. As for our prediction, we're going with a 3-1 Leverkusen win, and that's with them coming from 1-0 down, because that would add drama to it, right? And Leverkusen live for drama. Plus, it would get the Die Blauen, the Blues fans excited, because that means they'll have gone 1-0 up against another Bundesliga side. Again, deeply sorry to all you Blues fans out there. I just think that you're going to be overpowered by an overpowered team. What do all you lot think, by the way? What do you think the outcome of this semi-final will be? Do you agree, or do you have a different take on it? I tell you what, why don't you let us know in the comment section down below? What did you think of the content? What did you honestly think of our interpretation of how Bielefeld will do in the upcoming semi-final with Leverkusen? I tell you what, why don't you let us know in the comment section down below? As we've mentioned before, we're more than happy to run a feature on any club. Doesn't have to be in the Bundesliga. They can be anywhere in the German pyramid, as we've proven with this video on Bielefeld. In fact, we had a request from a subscriber to run a feature on their club, Fortuna Dusseldorf, so you can expect that video in the coming weeks. Thanks as ever for the support. It means so much to us. If you could find it in your heart to give us a like and a subscribe, well, that would increase the awareness of the channel. No pressure at all. A like and a subscribe is your free will. We'd be very grateful though. We have more content to keep you satiated in the meantime. You can check out our preview of all the Matchday 27 Bundesliga action in that video here. And that's it. All that remains to be said is that he's been Gonzo, I've been Craig, you've been extremely patient. Auf Wiedersehen for now. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you very soon.